I agree. I never did an elf on a shelf. And in fact,
Oh, you
our
did
daughter this
never?
year was like, never. Our
my
daughter was
gosh.
like, why have we never done elf on a shelf? Because I don't want the pressure. I can hardly remember. We have an advent calendar that I put in like as a countdown
Yeah.
for them. I can hardly remember to put their little candy in there every single night, let alone move this elf around and do these elaborate scenes.
Nancy,
No, thank you. It's a hard no.
Fill the advent calendar right before December 1st, and then every day they open it and take out the candy. You don't fill it the day before. You fill the advent calendar before December 1st, and then you let them open it every day. It's nothing to remember. You're doing it wrong.
I've never done it that way. I always do it the night before. And
you're making life harder.
Yeah, it seems like I am. But I think that sometimes
But you're not going to change. Yeah, I get it. I hear you.
I'm not going to put a chocolate in there sometimes. Sometimes I'll put like those like fun like Christmas socks. So
you
sometimes
can
I try
still do that without having to stress about filling it every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like if you get a piece of chocolate and a sock, who cares?
Welcome to Three Little Fishes. We're three sisters who grew up in the Midwest together, but have since spread across the country. I live in Los Angeles.
I'm in Nashville.
And I live in Philadelphia. We are all married with children. We've all had careers, but now we stay at home with our families.
We've all been through ups and downs that come along with life and have always helped each other through, shared stories, and laughed together.
We welcome all of you into our daily conversations and hope you have some fun with us.
So let's jump in.
What's up, fishes? Welcoming all of our listeners to the podcast.
Welcome.
I have some big news today. My middle son, turns 18 today. So it's a big day in our household.
Trev.
Happy birthday. Kathy, you and Peter have gotten another child to adulthood. That's amazing.
I cannot believe
2 out of 3.
The time goes fast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
His catchphrase, yep.
I know. I've gotten so many emails from like all the doctor's offices and like, he's 18 now, so you can't look at any of his stuff. I'm like, oh, geez.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
You're down that road.
It's a real thing.
It is.
Crazy.
Peace out. You're no longer needed, Kathy. So just take a back seat. You've done your job.
Yeah, these 18-year-olds can do it all. They can do everything.
Until they get a stain on their sweatshirt and then they call you.
Well, happy birthday. It's an exciting time
birthday.
to kind of watch him develop into this amazing human being. Happy birthday, Trevor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right, you all. Today we are going to be talking about the Sister Buzz, Christmas trends and traditions, and what's for dinner. But before we get into it, I just want to remind all of our fishes to please like, subscribe, comment, and invite some of your favorite fishes to jump into our conversation. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I had something crazy happen on Friday. I had turned on my light that's under my dining room table, and it was flickering and acting really weird. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what is going on? And we have an LED chandelier. Oh, LED. Why can't I ever say that right? LED chandelier. It was just acting weird. So I got up on the table to be like, I don't even know how bulbs like this go bad. And if they go bad, how do they go bad? So I'm yelling for Tim in the other room. Like,
you're on your table? You don't have a ladder?
That would be the safer thing to do.
Why are you on the table?
Tim said the same thing of like, what are you doing? So I'm a struggler just in general. So I'm up on the table, then I get down and I'm like, I think we have to call the electrician because I don't even know how you change these bulbs. And he's like, wait, why are the bulbs bad? They shouldn't be bad. So then as he's coming from his office, he sees the chandelier with a different view and he realizes there's char marks, like smoke marks from around the chandelier. So he's like, oh my goodness. He's like, last night when the kids turned on the light, he said, I heard a pop and the kid said that light was acting weird, but then it turned on. And then Tim said he smelled smoke, but he didn't see anything. So clearly it's all interconnected. So I'm freaking out. I call our electrician to be like, something's terribly wrong.
So you don't want your house to burn down?
No, I don't want my house to burn down. So I have put tape over the switch so nobody turns it on. Mm-hmm. So the electrician comes over, takes down the chandelier, checks everything out. So thank goodness our wiring is fine. But the LED compartment in the chandelier, the box, it broke. And it was all black and smoky. So a part there broke. So now we have to get a new chandelier. So it could have been really bad. Luckily, it wasn't. But you all, I didn't even know that could happen to a light. Did you?
LED is supposed to use a lot less voltage and supposed to be safer. That seems so
and it's
crazy.
Supposed to last for like 100,000 hours or something ridiculous. So you must have had a bad one. Thankfully, you were home. You weren't out of town.
Yeah, exactly.
And thankfully, nothing bad happened. But I also feel like you're having like an electrical issue because you just had a broken oven
too.
Yes.
Coil,
so
right?
funny. Yeah. So funny story about that. I asked the electrician if it's connected. We just had a new box done several years ago. He says it's not connected. He says it's just bad luck. It's just bad luck. So it's just like, I do feel like the Wills box have a little bit of a cloud over our head about some stuff lately. And I'm wondering, can the page turn? Can it clear off a little bit? Like, I feel like we've paid our dues.
Well,
like, what's up?
Nancy, I think it's a Christmas miracle that you didn't have a fire. So be thankful that your house didn't burn down.
I am thankful, but yet, come on.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are A-okay. That's super scary. Kathy, what's up going on in your life?
We kind of were decorating the house, trying to get it ready. And Peter has been very diligent about getting everything outside because you have to do the outside lights. And then we kind of did that a little bit before Thanksgiving, but then we did the second part. We have to put now the Christmas trees out, and we have like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You mean like outside decorations?
Yeah, it's like a reindeer that his nose lights up. And we have Candy Cane Lane.
Don't you remember she has Candy Cane Lane that like she has
Candy Cane Lane
her door, and then she has Rudolph that has a nose that lights up that she loves so much. Don't you remember this like nose that like lights up? And she's like, it's amazing. Yeah.
And we have a snowman. So he put out all that stuff after we took down our Thanksgiving wreath. Well,
Which I do think, I just want to say, time out. I just want to quickly say, I think it's so funny that you like all those blow up things because I did not think that was your jam.
They're not blow up.
They're not blow ups, but they're like figurines that are big and they have lights on them. And it's so funny to me that you love them, but you absolutely love them. I would not think that you would. And it's funny to me.
They're like tasteful. They're tasteful. They're not like gaudy. And then we put our Christmas wreath up. I thought everything was looking good. We went inside because I think Peter needed another like extension cord or something. And wouldn't you know it, our puppy, Millie, starts attacking the reindeer and ate part of its nose. Now it looks like it has cancer. Like literally, I was like, oh my God, I thought Peter was going to lose his mind after that. I was like, Billy, you better get away from here. So it has like a little plastic surgery. We tried to like fix it the best that we could. It actually still lights up, which is, I guess, the positive, but it does look like it's had a little surgery.
So is outside done?
The outside is done. And then I went out to dinner with our friends that night. And we were talking about how Millie had like destroyed our reindeer and stuff. They were kind of doing the same thing, getting Christmas ready. And they went to downtown Chestnut Hill, which is a very quaint, like little town. It's got like brick pavers all through the streets. And they went to this hardware store and they had their dog with them. And they were looking at these wreaths that were outside the store. And then all of a sudden, their dog like lifted its leg and started peeing on the wreaths. And then this person that worked there was like, "Oh my God, your dog is like peeing on our stuff." So they went and got a bucket and like filled it with water and then like tried to rinse the wreaths off. Then
That's so gross.
I know my friends were like, we were so mortified that this happened that they ended up buying, I think, just one of the wreaths. But can you imagine if you got a pea wreath, like you bought something from that store?
But people don't know that it's a pea wreath, and he seemed very calm to know to get a bucket to rinse it. Like, has this happened before? And interesting
I
that the
know.
guy didn't make them pay for all of the wreaths. Like, you ruined them.
They're not ruined. Animals get in trees and like it's just a tree that's cut into little pieces and shaped. Like animals, you think raccoons don't poop in the tree?
Linda, are you going to tell me that you girls are going to put pea wreaths on your door?
I don't put live wreaths on my door. That's a whole nother program.
Linda's like, don't even bring anything real to me. I won't have a real tree. I won't have a real wreath. I can't handle it. Like, don't bring me any earth.
Right. Yeah, you got it. Well, I think I can beat you, Kathy, with your pea wreaths. Remember a few weeks ago, listeners, we talked about dating your husband. And then I also last week talked about scents and smells and things like that. Well, I had an experience the other day. My husband and I decided to go have like a little mini date. And we went to the speakeasy in Franklin. And I just wanted to have like some Christmas cheer. So we went to the speakeasy and it was dreamy. It was like all lit up with the colored lights. There was a trio and they were singing Christmas carols and it was amazing. Rich is in a leather chair. I'm in this like bench thing. I'm drinking champagne. We have a little nibble. And 2 tables down, so it's like a little speakeasy. So there's these little tiny cocktail tables. I see this lady laying on the table. And the man across from her is like, "Are you all right?" And she's like, "No, it's horrible. It's horrible." And then a couple minutes later, I look back over. She has vomited all over the floor. So
No.
That is
I
so gross.
whisper to Rich, "Don't look. She's sick. You will start dry heaving." So he turns his body away from her and we wait for a few minutes and we're trying to just talk like nothing's happening, but it's very busy in there and we're listening to the music. I'm trying to drink my champagne and I look over and she's vomited again.
Oh my God.
Why are
Ew.
you vomiting at your table?
Get
Then
up.
the guy, so then anyway, the manager comes over and asks if he can help. He ends up bringing a bucket to her, like an ice bucket or something. They end up finally leaving and they clean up. And Rich and I are like trying so hard to focus on our fun, but it's kind of like a little weird. And so they clean everything up and I get into my bag and I've talked about this before, but I have this like little tiny Vera Bradley bag that I keep all my things in. And I have a little mini travel Lysol. So I pull out my Lysol and I kind of just like aim it over that area just to like kill the germs that I'm like psychosomatically feeling like are flying in the air. And my husband was like, "Get closer and spray it." And I was like, "Well, the whole place will smell like Lysol." And he's like, "Who cares?" So I
can't
scooch over,
believe you
I
have
spray the
Lysol.
area, and then I put it away. And then I get out my roller perfume and I roller myself and I kind of like the air a little bit. And then we resumed our date. But we do need to do a do-over because it was a little bit of a show. And I don't understand. But anyway, I will say I kind of thought about it. And the guy that was with her, at first I thought was maybe her husband. But because he didn't do anything, I feel like they were on a date. And that is like the last date they're going to be on. Because who wants to date somebody that is sick and laying on the table and throwing up on the floor in the like bar?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, Linda, I
crazy.
find it funny that you have Lysol in your purse. That is hilarious to me.
I mean, you kind of beat me. I thought I was a germaphobe. I mean, I have all sorts of like hand sanitizer and hand wipes, but I do not have Lysol either. And now I'm like, why don't I have Lysol?
Yeah, the little travel Lysol has saved me several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't, it didn't do any good in this situation, but like psychologically, it helped me kind of recover my time.
That's so gross.
Well, I'm going to move us out of vomit and into Christmas trends and traditions.
The trends for 2024 are kind of going back to like traditional decor, which I love, which is about like the green and reds and gold scheme, and also about the velvet. And I love
I know.
velvet so much.
I do.
You
so
do.
much. It's
Like
beautiful.
you and do people know who Doris Day is? Like if you could channel Doris Day with all of her velvet, that is what it would be like for you.
Yeah, that is my jam.
I feel like you were born in the wrong era. Do you ever feel like you missed the wrong era for your like bows and like tinsel?
I actually do think it would have been fun to be in that era. I think that we are a lot more casual now, but dressing up every now and then would be so fun.
Wouldn't be the doctor that you are because,
I mean, I don't know. Like you're talking about velvet, and I've put a spin on our tradition of like Christmas pajamas, and I got Tim and Riley Santa riding bulls this year. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if bulls are traditional, but
we have a lot of traditions too. And I think it's important to have traditions, but then sometimes we shake things up. I think, we grew up in a very traditional house, and mom and dad were very good about doing very similar things every single year. So, I think tradition can be anything that you do every single year or close to every single year.
They put tinsel on their tree, which I liked growing up, and now tinsel is making a comeback. And we actually put tinsel on our tree when we were newly married, but we had a cat back then, and she used to eat that tinsel and throw up everywhere. And I was like, okay,
it's terrible.
That was the end of tinsel for us.
Yeah,
I know. I do love tinsel too. I love anything that sparkles. So I also like that, but we went away from it too because we have animals, and also living here in California, it's hard to find tinsel. And because I get a real tree, I feel like I do one thing for the environment that's bad and probably put up a real tree. So I've stopped putting up tinsel.
You do the one thing.
But
well, they actually say, you guys, that real trees are not that terrible because you can actually recycle them and use them as mulch and things. So they're not as bad as you think.
Okay, so are you trying to tell me that you recycle your tree and you get it ground into mulch and put it in your yard?
Okay, no, we do not. Yes. But I will say one thing. We did buy the kids like small trees for their room one year, and we recycled them and planted them in our yard. And one of the three made it, and one of them still in our yard to this day. And it has gotten big.
Awesome. I am not a real tree person. I did try to do it a little bit when I first got on my own, but I could not handle the watering and the needles and then the dry tree after. And then I would leave town and I would worry the house would burn down. So I am an artificial tree person, pre-lit, and we have a couple of them. One we decorate with all of our ornaments, and the other one we decorate with red velvet ribbon that we wrap around it, which is very beautiful. But I don't have to worry about it. It comes in its own little bag. I put it away. I pull it out. I don't get the smell, but it always looks pretty. It always looks perfect. And I don't have to dispose of it.
Yeah.
I am a real tree person. I'm not doing it.
I just don't like
I can't handle the mess.
I don't like the idea of plastic. I know that people love it, but I do not. I like a real tree, and I like the smell of it, the look of it. I like that it looks different every single year because we've had to pick out a new one. And I do love the tradition of decorating it with the kids and listening to Christmas
music. I do that too.
And the one tradition that I have done with the kids, and I will continue to do, is that through the month, I gift them with ornaments. And so every year they have a bag of ornaments that are just their own that they get to put on the tree. And then when they're adults and they have their own house, that they can take the ornaments with them and start their own tradition with their childhood ornaments. And I love that. And they get so excited to actually put their ornaments on the tree. It's cute.
Yeah, that's a nice tradition. I also would say watering the tree is horrible. And
Horrible.
I just this week watered our tree and I couldn't even get to it. And I was like cursing and like the needles were falling. And I was like, so I ended up,
Pokes your
we do have
eye.
like a funnel, which we hadn't gotten out, but this tree needs one this year. It's a Christmas funnel. It's like then you put the water in the funnel and it makes it a lot easier. And I posted it on the show
fun.
notes. So if you're all having trouble watering your tree, you could try that.
Do you guys have a tradition that is there a trend that you can't stand for Christmas that you wish would go away?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I don't do anymore is the elf on the shelf. Like we did it for years. I about wanted to slit my throat regularly over it. And then our oldest kind of took it over, which she had fun with it for a little while. But now we just unpack them and they just sit there. But that I think is like a rough trend for me. It's just too many things for me to manage. And I was annoyed with that. So I'm over that.
I agree. I never did an elf on a shelf. And in fact, our
did
daughter this
never?
year was like, never. Our
my
daughter was
gosh.
like, why have we never done elf on a shelf? Because I don't want the pressure. I can hardly remember. We have an advent calendar that I put in like as a countdown
Yeah.
for them. I can hardly remember to put their little candy in there every single night, let alone move this elf around and do these elaborate scenes.
Nancy,
No, thank you. It's a hard no.
Fill the advent calendar right before December 1st. And then every day they open it and take out the candy. You don't fill it the day before. You fill the advent calendar before December 1st. And then you let them open it every day. It's nothing to remember. You're doing it wrong.
I've never done it that way. I always do it the night before. And
you're making life harder.
And sometimes it's an ornament that I do.
You know, we do the advent calendar too, Nancy. But I always buy mine and I fill it already filled with have chocolates in them. So I don't have that stress of like not having the little windows.
So a part of me, like, I love that. Like our grandma used to give us those advent calendars and it was just those sparkly pictures that you open. It wasn't even candy. It was just like the fun pictures. And a part of me loves that idea, but I like the idea of reusing and having something that you use every single year and just less consumption and just kind of building on what I have.
That's what I have. That's what we have too. But I pre-fill it like at the end of November. So in December,
that's
you
a
can
good
open
tip.
each door. And I have we have 3 kids. So I put 3 little pieces of chocolate in every single door. And then you leave the door open so you can see the countdown. So I do feel that you're making more work for yourself.
Yeah, it seems like I am. But I think that sometimes
but you're not going to change. Yeah,
I'm not going to put a chocolate in there. Sometimes I'll put like a $1 sock in there. You know, like the $1 you can find those like fun like Christmas socks. Like, and I'll lay that by the countdown. Or their little ornament. Like, so sometimes I try
to do that without having to stress about filling it every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like if you get a piece of chocolate and a sock, who cares?
And you know, and truthfully for me, the other piece of it, and if parents are listening to this with young kids in the car, you might want to wait to listen. But I always try to use Santa Claus as like the symbol of magic and just fun, and not try to make it so real and it more of a spirit and a fun tradition, because I was heartbroken when I found out the real truth behind Santa. And so I didn't want that for my kids, but I wanted them to have the fun. And I think that Riley kind of hung on to like the magic, and the transition for him was easy. And our daughter is still hanging on hard to more real than magic. And I worry that, you know, we're coming out of it sooner than later. And I hope that she's not going to be devastated that it's, you know, she's hanging on to the real and not the magic. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's tricky. I think it's tricky. And do you all worry about that? Like, did anybody come to you and say, you lied? You
know what's
you're
crazy?
terrible.
I have never had the conversation with my kids. They never came to me and said anything. We just always pretend it's magical. The elf shows up, things just happen. So we don't talk about it.
So I'm going to shift gears on you girls. Last night I was at a hockey game and I was kind of polling some of the parents, and something I do find sort of interesting is like, we don't wrap Santa Claus gifts, and then we give the kids like a couple little gifts from us that we do wrap. And this friend was telling me that she wrapped Santa, and it started when they didn't have a lot of money and they were just starting off. They have 4 kids, and she said, we wrap them, and she goes, I do put a lot of time and care into it. I make them beautifully wrapped, and the kids always want a picture of the tree with the presents underneath. And she's like, a couple years I would wrap one sock, and then I would wrap the other sock, and I would put their names on it, and it would be very beautiful, and I would try and make it special for them. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hate to wrap. I do it. I do not wrap I don't wrap Santa, but I do wrap the gifts. And I do try and color code my children so they each get like their own color wrapping. But I don't love it. I have a friend also back in Chicago who it was like she was a master. Like she couldn't do a master class on wrapping. She would do these elaborate bows, and they were like, it was like a work of art, and it was amazing. Yeah. And it brought her so much joy to give somebody a present that was so beautifully wrapped. Give me a gift bag and some colored like paper. I just, the wrapping thing kills me because it does get expensive and it's time consuming, and then it ends up in the trash. What's your thought on wrapping or not wrapping?
Well, Peter and I actually disagree on this because his family, his parents wrapped Santa presents. They wrapped everything. And so we grew up with Santa not wrapping our presents. So I like that. So what we've done, I guess, for our family is we don't wrap like some Santa gifts, but then we do wrap a gift. Like the kids always get a gift from Peter and I that's wrapped. So Peter thought that was important that they would get something from us.
So interesting. Yeah. So Tim also feels like he didn't grow up celebrating Christmas. And then when he came on with my traditions, of our family's traditions, I love Christmas. I love the magic of Santa. And so I didn't want to give any gifts. I just all wanted them to be from Santa and have them not wrapped, kind of like how we grew up. But Tim was like, I don't like this idea. And also not all kids get Santa. So it's just this mixed message. I don't love it. So I think that they should get gifts from us. Like the big gifts should come from us.
Yeah.
So Santa,
that's what we do.
And so Santa in our house gives like a stocking and like a book or something small. And in a Christmas sweater, Christmas something to wear. Yeah. And then under the tree is a present from Tim and I that's their bigger ask of what they wanted. Yeah. So that's how we do it in our house.
But and do you wrap the presents?
No, I don't wrap Santa presents. I wrap the presents from Tim and I under the tree.
And do you spend a lot of time and energy on it and make it beautiful and memorable and all the
Nope. Let's be clear. I cannot stand wrapping. I can't stand spending money on bows. I can't stand spending money on wrapping paper. It makes me crazy that it all ends up in the trash. And it just feels like it's excessive. So I get cheap wrapping paper, which I know people don't agree with. And I do the very bare minimum so they can rip it open and that's it.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I like the bags myself.
I'm a bag girl too. I mean, I have wrapping paper. Yeah. I will say I'm going to push back on the cheap wrapping paper. You can buy really nice wrapping paper on sale. Just pay attention. And then it doesn't rip when you're wrapping, which I find annoying. Like if it's sitting under the tree, I don't want it to be all ripped up.
Listen, if it gets ripped, I have animals. My cat, Loki, do you all remember Loki? She's under that tree. She's batting everything. I mean, even if I'm trying to make it look nice, it's not going to stay nice. No,
I got you.
it's not. It doesn't matter. They just care what's under it. Everybody
That's
just
true.
likes to feel like they have something to open, and it's about the day and spending time together. And if you have one thing that's under there, that's all they need.
Games.
They
That's what we do.
don't care. They don't care that it's wrapped in this velvet bow. They don't care.
Yeah.
I also, a tradition in our family is we usually watch like Christmas concerts or go to a Christmas concert, which is always something that I enjoy watching.
We do a holiday sing that I love so I do love the tradition of it. I get tired of the consumption of Christmas, but I love the tradition of just hanging out and being together and lights and just, the warmness of it.
I think what I'm hearing from you is you like the effort people make to celebrate.
Yes.
And I do think that's what it is. It's like this time of year is such a good time. People make effort to see each other. People make effort to go caroling. They make effort to do things to get together and celebrate each other, as well as the birth of Christ, or if you're whatever holiday you celebrate. So, I mean, I get that. I feel that way too. I think it is really nice to make the extra effort to be with your family and be with your friends and have a good time.
All right, y'all. What's for dinner?
So the recipe we're going to post this week in the show notes is a Giada de Laurentiis recipe that I have made for years and years and years. And it's not necessarily a Christmas recipe, but a winter recipe. It's chicken with mustard, mascarpone. It's in a marsala sauce, and I usually serve it with roasted vegetables. It is super delicious, and I encourage you to try it. So we'll put it in the show notes.
Sounds good.
Enjoy.
Sounds good and easy.
It's very easy. It's a one-pot dish. Yep.
We want to thank you for listening to our podcast and letting us sisters jump into your day. Please make sure to follow, rate, and review us. We would love to have your feedback. Also, please share our podcast with your favorite little fishes so we can continue to grow. Please enjoy the week and have a wonderful weekend. Sisters out.